again wraps up one fight on Angst. Now we have another battle on Angst. It's game number 2 between Purpl Rain and Cazadores. Am I saying it right?
It's I've always said Cazadores, but of course they're a Hispanic team. The Spanish is, I believe, their first language.
The way they communicate.
Oh, Cazadores.
Mostly. So English isn't their first language. So I've never gotten to know them very well, but they do have a reputation. They're a long-standing team. Okay. They've been in many tournaments, so they could come back in the second qualifier.
Thankfully, a lot of people here speak Spanish in this very office.
Yes.
So we'll be okay with them. Really looking forward to this. I love the name Purpl Rain, by the way.
Yes, Purple.
You know why, right? Chocolate Rain.
Yes. Okay. No, I don't actually understand why.
You don't know Chocolate Rain?
You don't know? You really don't?
Chocolate Rain.
Some stay dry while others feel
am I missing
the pain.
something here? I'm playing too much World of Tanks nowadays to really get what you're saying.
You could still turn on Chocolate Rain behind.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
World of Tanks.
It's fantastic.
It's
that
one of the
voice.
Okay.
That dude's voice.
Well, I'll show you after.
We can talk about Chocolate Rain, or we can talk about tank selection. And I vote tank selection. All in favor say aye. Aye. Let's go.
Aye, okay.
Into tank selection and see what's going on right now. It's a couple AMX 5100s, T69, IS3s, the normal city brawling tanks. Looks like nothing too unconventional so far. And there's not much tier room to play with. So it looks like we might wrap it up with just another heavy tier 8 of some kind. Maybe a medium autoloader like another T69 or 2. So overall, seems like pretty standard run-of-the-mill. Based off your knowledge of these teams, how do you see this really panning out?
Well, it looks like they're going to bring IS3's 5100. So for Cazadores, Team 1, by the way, that's Team 1, Cazadores, they look like they're going to be ready to play on the city side. Now, we've seen some plays for the east side of the map, you know, and that's strong too, but it looks like indications seem that it's going to be city map. Now, on the other side, we actually don't have a team filled up yet for Purpl Rain, but they do have two 5100s and 2 T69s. That could also be city, but they could also play very well out in those fields. So I'm waiting to see who actually gets pulled up and chosen for Team Purpl, because they have plenty of guys left over here, plenty of guys to pull up. And they've actually got Scout sitting there.
Yeah, Scout seems to have at least be
there
showing
he is, pulled up in a 1390.
Yeah. Scout staying true to his name.
Yeah, he might be a Scout player. I don't know.
Well, who would have thunk?
Yeah, the guy named Scout, scouting. Well, it looks like he's got his 1390, so I'm guessing we're going to see some really a very passive play, some scouting. That's going to give them lots of information. That 1390 actively scouting, making scouting runs. So it's and then on the other side, actually, we have a KB5 coming out, just like what we saw with Ermagerd.
Okay.
So that's a lot of armor. That's a lot of health. The health pool is definitely in favor of Cazadores right now. They've got a health pool to work with.
We see that 30K is also whipping out a medium 1 instead of the conventional T1 Scouts.
The medium M1 has a very interesting gun on it. It is an autoloader, and I don't know how it's going to fare. I've always considered the medium 1 to be a very large tier 1 tank. A huge profile, easy to hit. I wonder if they have a good reason for it.
Maybe they have a very specific place on the map for 30K to maybe meet another T1 and try to engage directly onto that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So we'll have to see, but I'm guessing we're going to see Purpl heading off to the east and Kaza off to the west.
All right, well, we'll pull up the mini-map as soon as the game starts. Looks like we're having the last countdown. The last picks have been made and countdown has begun. Real quick, boys, what are your predictions?
I'm giving it to Purpl.
Cazadores.
All right, so it's 1-1. I'm just going to have to say I'm going to give it to Cazadores as well and agree with Greetorp here. Just for the sake of it, it's battle number 2, rather, on Angst. Let's get into the game. All right, Angst. We saw a very similar movement out of the red team in the previous match, but this time it's different, as it looks like the western part of the block's already been taken. What's been going on, though, Rukil? You have the full vision of the minimap.
Well, we've got, just like Ermagerd Carnivorun did a moment ago, we've got a nice city setup here. The team is really grouping up here in D3. And on the other side of the map, just like we predicted, Purpl Rain is going to head right on out into the east, leading the way with the 1390 Scout. So this is going exactly as predicted, but it looks like Cazadores is really grouped up, getting ready for a push. I'm seeing pings go out. It looks like they're going to jump right down this 3-line here into the enemy base, and we might see a T1 go down if they can find him, but it's looking like we're going to wait a few minutes here for a real engagement. It's going to probably be a T1 or 2 dropping down, and then we're going to probably see this map control game that we've seen so many times before.
I think you know, a lot of the momentum is going to swing in the Cazadores right now because of their straight up HP pool. I mean, if there is a straight up engagement right now, right in the open field or whatever it might be, right now, I think the Cazadores is going to take it just because they're able to stay alive a little bit longer. KV5 can position himself really nicely to even block and ricochet a lot of these shots.
Exactly. We actually also see, remember that medium M1 with 30K? Well, he is just trucking along over here, slow as an M1 goes. In the backfield, we've got 5100 Steel Horse. And actually, are those spots? We've got 2 lit, the KV5, and actually 3 lit. The IS-3 and KV5 are lit on the other side of the map, so we know where Cazadores is.
Okay, nobody from Cazadores knows where their opponents are. I mean, nobody's lit. Well, so this is a big problem.
Yeah, they're not gonna. They're probably gonna hesitate, hold up. But it looks like Scout 1 is actually running back across the tracks to see what he can see, and he's returning again. But I'm not sure if he's gonna get caught out. I mean, across the tracks, if he has to cross to return, I mean, he could go down there.
Yes.
Especially if Cazadores decides to push.
We got our first spot. Medium 1 is by 30K is gonna be spotted by Fatigati, all the way up on the northern region in A4. He's just going to back up. No real implications for either of these teams to where the positions are. Of course, I would say Purple Rain knows exactly where Cazadores are.
Yeah, they have a great indication of where they are. They know they're in the city, and they know if they try and do exactly what their predecessors did in the last map and try and actually go to the cap.
Okay, Scout
are pushing pretty aggressively. Scout does get off onto the opponent's base, and they try and see if they can get a big early lead. Scout 1 doesn't want to be cornered. AMX 1390 is an expensive way to lose their first round.
Yeah, the 1390 is trying to escape. Scout 1 is going to have to do some real juking here, while the 5100s, actually the 69s come into position and shoot.
Oh, here.
The KV5 underneath.
Kufo, he's going to blindside everything, and wow, those T69s on the other side of the map are not able to get in here. One AMX 1390 down. That is a gigantic advantage coming out from Cazadores now.
Yep. In the meantime, the 5100s are scrambling back to base. IS-3 getting onto the cap. He's taking hits, but he's going to be he's going to cause these T69s to back off.
Big shots on Hangover. Hangover has to back off. The AMX 5100 wants to try to see, or both of the AMX 5100s, Steel Horse and Hangover, want to get a nice spot. Exploit also has some pretty heavy damage as well, 50% health. Great position for Cazadores thus far, as they still have a very big health advantage right now over the Purple Rain team.
Yep, it looks like we've got Servantster getting taken down by Kufo here in the backfield. That's going to be a lot of eyes lost.
Oh, big shots. Exploit has managed to take out CES 28, and that's just one IS-3 less for Cazadores. Algism trying to see if he can get into a nice spot over Hangover. Hangover trying to back off. Looks like he was clipping, but he does get his shot off, and he's really going to stall Algism from being able to push forward. Big damage. Meanwhile, a simultaneous cap has kind of been initiated. T1s will be fighting in the back.
Yeah, that KV5. Alajim Ararvin, that is a difficult name to say, is aggressing. Wandorf is getting, is going to be taken down here, I think, in just a second if he can't escape everyone.
Oh, Wandorf drops as Algism's able to get the shot off. Logo's going to try to go for a switch. Exploit does not have much health, and that IS-3, the average damage enough to just shoot it down, and down he goes. Steel Horse, along with Hangover Special, the only 2 members really left on the southern part to defend the flag. Cazadores looked in perfect position to jump to a 2-0 lead.
Yes. It looks like it's over at this point. It's probably clean up. Logos with plenty of health to spare, and Kufo here ready to do it. I don't see Hanover or Steelhorse being able to pull this one out. There he goes.
Yes,
Hangover trying to hold on, but he can't. Logos with the janitorial duty. And what do you know? 7 members down for Purple Rain. 2-0 lead for Cazadores. And just like that, Angst has gone to our Spanish-speaking team.
Yes.
Very well done.
Very well done. I have to say the 1390 being terribly out of position, crossing those tracks in the beginning. You do not want to be doing that on Angst. On other maps, it's okay, but those train tracks are death right there. It's so hard to go back across. Not only are you going to be fielding a lot of damage in your behind, but you're also not going to be able to shoot back at your opponents either. You stay on that other side. You stay on the eastern side. You just receive them. Space is your friend, especially against that KV-5. You want to be kiting that thing as much as possible.
Exactly. You get it exactly right. And the scout didn't even get to go across the tracks. He tried to juke around his enemy before he was taken down. He knew he couldn't cross those tracks, and he tried to do the best he could, but he really shouldn't have stopped there. That wasn't the best move he could have done, and he probably should have realized that something was coming.
Yeah, and as soon as that happens, even they knew they had such a big advantage just in terms of HP, in terms of damage at that point, that they can cross the tracks even though it's really bad to. They're going to normally lose if it's even against even, but because you're up a tank, you have that margin of error to really push across and then take the game.
Let's take a look at the damage report and see what happened. You can see Logos able to put on an immense amount of damage, hitting 2K, as well as a couple of other members from Cazadores hitting the 4-digit number over on Purple Rain.
Yep. Actually, Logos did a great job. He connected all 6 of the shots he fired. Every shot hit and penned. So that was a fantastic game from him.
Very well done. And let's take a quick commercial break, and we can even set up the analysis afterwards, post-game, as we get ready for battle number 3. Cazadores up 2-0. Will they end Purple Rain's run? We'll find out right after this. Welcome back to WGLNA, where currently Cazadores is up 2-0 over Purple Rain. Our last match of the night, the last opportunity for Purple Rain to make a stand in their round of 16 qualifier run. Remember, guys, tomorrow, the round of 8 will begin, and that will be the final round of the qualifiers. Top 4 will advance to the WGLNA League starting July 11th, as you guys just saw in the commercial.
That's right, Frodan. Our last and potentially final battle is going to be played on Ruinberg. I guess it's our potentially last and final.
You're stamping your mark, right? You're saying Cazadores is going for 3-0?
Yes, okay. I really am. I felt like
I got you, Andrew.
They played well. Actually, they kind of played out for themselves. But anyway, let's talk about Ruinberg a little bit and what the two teams can do. You're down 2-0. You're picking Ruinberg.
It's another city map.
Yeah, we're talking.
Cazadores just showed superior movement in terms of that.
Yeah. Well, Ruinberg, I'm thinking if they're going to play heavy like they are, they're going to play towards the west side of the map. So we're probably going to see some real west side movement, maybe that KV-5 coming out again. And I'm expecting we're going to see probably some moves. I don't know what side they've spawned on, but whatever side they spawn on, Cazador's heading west. That's my prediction. I'm pretty sure they're going to head west, and we're going to see some nice split up here, taking the F-road probably, one way or another. I'm thinking they're going to play aggressively this round. They're on the winning side. They've got 2 wins.
Yeah. If you're Purple Rain, where are you going to go?
Well, Purple Rain's been favoring lighter tanks. They've gone with a lighter setup. They brought that Scout last time. So if they head out to the east side of the map, either way, I'm thinking that's what they're going to do. North or south, I think they might pick if they pick a 1390 again, they're going to jump right on that Delta Village, jump all over it. So we're going to see Delta Village there, and I'm thinking we're going to see city side from Cazadores.
Yeah. Now, being up 2-0, there's some cool little cute things that you can do as Cazadores. Yes, you're more inclined to go into the city, but you can just wrap around, go to that 0 line, and just shove up into that village, trying to really take advantage of, a team that's kind of defending the village, but doesn't exactly know where your team's at yet.
Yeah, they could do that. They could go and take the safe route towards the Delta Village. Now, I'll detail those for you now. Either going out towards the east side of the map, like this, taking the safe route, they'll avoid being spotted if they take faster tanks, and then they can ride right up that 0 line. And we actually saw that from, EC the other day.
Yes.
When they booked it up there with 45100s, they could do the same thing again. Booking it right up there with some decently fast tanks, jump on somebody if they go out to the Delta Village. From either side, that could be what Purple Rain needs to come back in this one.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the best strategy, but it's definitely a strategy that beats other strategies. That's important to note. So sometimes, if you know your opponent's going to go out to the village, just surprise them, get a couple tanks really quick, you have the game.
But if I were Purple, though, I would think that they'd be going towards that city
Yes.
which means that I would probably try and do something that would catch them off. And I'm sorry that I threw out a strat there that might not do, but it seems like the best idea for them because they like to play those light tanks. They like to do that stuff. So they might play a counter strat, hoping Cazadores doesn't go to the city. And if they don't, well, you can just turn around and try and reevaluate the map. I mean, you're buying for time. You can attempt to wait for Cazadores to make a mistake.
All right, well, a couple of picks have already gone in. We have 2 IS-3s coming in from Cazadores. So it kind of tells me they're not going to go out and do that really far, you know, zero-line strike. I feel like 2 T-69s would have been a lot better than IS-3s if you wanted to do something like that. Not saying IS-3s can't hold their own in the village, but you're approaching the village. You're not there yet, so you don't really have cover to duck behind. So we're probably going to see them, as you said, going to the west. 2 AMX 5100s being picked up by Purpl Rain. Everything makes sense. They're favoring, you know, that open playing field, but they're still open to interpretation so far, choosing those French tanks.
Yeah, 5100s being faster than the IS-3s, but the IS-3s having that nice alpha damage, 390 average damage on that 122 cannon we've seen.
Yes, sir.
It's a great gun. I love it. I think it's probably one of the best guns for this whole tier. Next to the T-32's 5100s gun, they're fantastic. And I mean, I want to see what happens next. We've got a 5100 picked now for Cazadores, so that's a nice compliment. This could be that. This still indicates that we're going towards the city, but you know, we've seen teams take IS-3s out to the Delta Village. So I want to say they're going to the city, but there's still room for them to choose something which would indicate otherwise. Now, down below, I see Scout 1 still sitting in a 1390, which means they might try and pull him up as a pick. And actually, Pollins is sitting down there in a Chaffee. That would be an interesting one to see. Chaffee's a fantastic tank that we haven't seen played.
Yeah, it's also a really good scout. People put in the same conversation as a T50-2 or the T52, depending on what you want to say. We don't really see too much in competitive play, though. Why is that the case, do you feel?
It's a slower tank, and it's a larger silhouette, like the medium M1 that we saw. That's a tier 1 scout, and it's slow. But the Chaffee moves very well. It's a great tank with a great gun that fires fantastically on the move. It's very accurate. So when you use tanks like the Chaffee, it can be effective, but altogether it can be slow and easy to take out.
All right. Yeah. A couple other picks coming in. Is Kufo really going to go with the Churchill 3? I don't know how.
No, I think they're just still.
No, he's just sitting down there.
Yeah, they're just.
Kufo, you crazy.
They're just waiting it out for now. Yeah, this seems really reasonable. AMX 50-100s and then plug in probably 2 or 3 T-69s and go like that. You know, it's just a very nice way to play it out if you are taking the western side, the Delta Village. Everything looks good, and everything plays to their style so far if they do pick that way. As, yes, they are going to pick another T-69, so we're going to see exactly what they do, but for the most part, we're expecting them to go west. IS-3s tells us they're going to go east. The question
Flip
is
that real quick. IS-3's going west, and those lighter tanks going east.
I have my west and east.
I'll keep you in line.
I actually have my west and east mixed up.
I do that all the time.
My goodness. They're going to the village.
I'm not going
Team
on a road
1.
trip with you, Andre.
You don't know how many times I get discombobulated out here. I'm originally from New Jersey, so I always think the east is where the water is.
Yeah.
I'm sadly
Jersey, there's only so much east you can go before you hit
and I'm from the
Seaside
Jersey
Heights.
Shore, too. That's where I'm from, Seaside Heights. So, represent.
Oh, God.
All right, well, you hold on to that one, Andre.
Hey, don't even. You're from New Jersey, too. I don't want to hear it.
Or am I?
You are.
Or
don't
am
even
I?
give me that.
I am. Okay.
Don't hide your roots,
California is where I call home, though, fortunately.
Okay.
Couple last picks coming in from both of the teams. Keep in mind, guys, it's the round of 16. Also, this is your last few chances to get some gold opportunities for free if you tweet us at WGLNA or Facebook.com/WGLNA. Rotterdam has been on set, and he's also been our observer. He's doing a great job observing, but he's also picking out and reading all your tweets. And, yes, he reads all of them. And so be very nice to Kevin because he's doing a great job, and I think so, too. Don't you guys think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Fantastico. T-44 being picked up by, who is that by? It's by Purpl Rain.
Yeah. Wow, T-44. T-44 is actually...
Let's go to the screen real quick.
Yeah. It's a fantastic tank, actually. It was recently given, well, not so recently, but a little while ago, it was given the LB1, which is a great gun for the T-44. It's a 100mm cannon, and it shoots more accurately on the move than what I used to use on a T-44, which was the D10T. So if Armor thinks he can play a T-44, it's got a great fire rate, very decent damage. We could, if we see a good actual medium player, I mean, not an autoloader medium player, show up, that could be something. This could, if he can carry it, I mean, that would be great. I
do want to ask you about what's going on over in land of the Cazadores. We see a Bison, and now we don't usually see too many artillery show up in city maps, but of course Ruinberg does have that split. Let's talk a little bit about where Kufo could position, considering that considering that Cazadores does have an artillery.
Yeah. Well, if we go to me telestrating, I can begin to show you guys, and I'm thinking we could see artillery going out to the 0 line and picking spots there. But one very, very good spot is right in. Let me just undo stiff. Right there, right in A8, right behind the buildings there. That's a great spot to cover your own base from a cap
regardless, they're going to be transitioning east to try to protect them at the very least to make sure that the Bison
definitely
can get good cover.
Bison's going east.
All right, so well, go east, young man, as we're going to find out what's going to happen on map number 3 here on Ruinberg. What's going to happen, Cazadores versus Purple Rain? Let's get into the game. All right, welcome to Ruinberg, potentially the last site if Cazadores can keep the hot streak alive, up 2-0 over Purple Rain. The initial movements we've been seeing out of Purple Rain as they are moving east as well, going over to TIE Fighter, heading over to Delta Village. Both teams trying to set up east.
Interesting. I wouldn't have expected that. 30K still in that M1 medium tank. Very strange. T-71 Pollins is going for a scout run, and he's going to spot all the tanks that matter. T-44 taking a shot, Armor, and missing, not quite connecting there. We're seeing the Bison stop in his own base, kind of out in the open. But T-71's going to return to base, and we've got IS-3s actually backing off. They know that the blitz for the Delta Village is coming in. So they're going to try and back off, see if they can avoid that confrontation. They don't want to risk this match.
I guess Cazador is just looking for a small timing window in case their opponents, Purple Rain, were slow to get to the Delta Village. They could maybe, potentially, take advantage of the situation, but after they know that they're going to go over there, of course, the north side, slightly closer to that Delta Village, it forces Cazadores to back up. They're going to retreat back into the western side, into the city, where they are nice and tucked away with those IS-3s.
Yep, out in the suburb here. I wouldn't consider it the best positions, though. There's a few buildings here, but I'd really have said they should have gone back to those city streets where they can get their enemies in a very tight corridor and do as they wish. But they're just going to stay outside where they were stuck and not quite retreat. Shots going out on Exploit. He's declared as the primary.
Yeah, Logos whiffing there. But as that opportunity has fallen, we see that Purple Rain is moving further down the 0 line in hopes of maybe catching sight of where the Bison may roam. Instead, a couple spots still has been going off for Cazadores as they're seeing more of the T-69 pushing down the 0 line. But it seems like Purple Rain is pretty spread out. What if all of a sudden Hangover and Steel Horse overextend a little bit? Do they have to be careful here, Rugil?
Yeah, they do have to be careful not to overextend because we have a T-44 out of position, and Hanover Special's taking, and he's down. So there we go, 5100 overextending, getting taken out. We've got a T-44 to the north out of position. This could be a point at which we see Cazadores push east or push north to try and take out someone who is out of position and cut off.
That's a big lead for Cazadores as now they have the 8-tier advantage. So if the next 7 minutes nothing happens, that's game 3. That's a battle 3 victory for them. So Purple Rain now has to kind of make a play, but they've already taken some unnecessary damage because of it.
Indeed, we're seeing pings going out from Cazadores. They're pinging west. I think they want to send their light tank to scout the west, verifying that no one is coming into the backfield. So they're being prepared and they're pinging on various locations. It looks like they're trying to declare some kind of push, something. They're thinking about where their enemy is right now. They're trying to decide, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And they're not sure. They're moving around. This kind of motion I'm seeing out of these IS-3s, it feels like they're antsy to me. It feels like if we can look at them, they're not quite comfortable sitting here. They're back to back. They want to do something, and they're antsy about it. I've done this before. I hate it. I'm like, come on, team captain, let me move. I want to go do something. And they're waiting. They don't want to wait though, because they are up those 8 points. They want to do something with them. I would want to do something with them. I'd be like, come on, we've got 8 points. Let's go.
Yeah, well, some teams would just say, I have 8 points, let's sit back, right? I mean, it's not like they have any tiers that are down. And if they want to aggress, if Purple Rain wants to aggress, they have to have, you know, someone like 30K going ahead, a tier 1 going ahead, and really putting themselves in a very precarious situation and then getting picked off. So now they're up 9 points. Now is a good time for them to be a little bit aggressive, saying, I have 9 points, I can lose a tier 1 scout and then be okay because I can still play the 8-point game.
You're absolutely right. I hadn't thought about that. Getting 9 points is much safer than 8. They sent that T-71 out to the west, had him pick off the medium M1, and now he can return. Now they can begin doing something. But actually, Logos is taking shots from the back. The T-44 armor, I believe, probably still in that same position, taking advantage of where Logos is. Yeah, that's about right. That second shot came in. That's about the same, about the amount of time. 6 second reload there on a T-44 with an LB1. So 6 seconds in between those shots. Both came in. We got the 1 hit, the 1 miss. Logos turning himself to be prepared for a T-44 shot again. We've actually got the T-71 going out to the east here. Pollen's trying to do actual scouting here, but he doesn't actually find anything, I think.
Very defensive posture for Purple Rain, as it looks like they're all going to converge close to their flag, expecting a big play coming from Cazadores to try and finish it off. Cazadores, of course, they're playing a little farther back because they're not exactly sure where their opponents are, but looks like we might have a slow push coming in imminently from Cazadores.
Indeed, although Pollins is going to be a while out of anyone. He's not going to find anything scouting like this, but he's taking very nice routes, making some good loops, doing a little drifting here and there. And he's going to eventually he'll find out that they're not in that Delta Village anymore. And that'll be about the point. Actually, we are seeing movement. We're seeing the IS-3s and 5100s. The whole team is moving out, going to try and take the Delta Village. They believe the enemy is no longer watching. They've backed off. That's what they're taking a guess on, a gamble. And it looks like it's going to pay off. They're going to have a Delta Village for free.
Okay. Well, obviously that leads into really good I guess, initial engagements when you do go into the city, because you're going to have, you know, the area you're going to be attacking into, right? Like the outside area, especially if you want to screen cap something like the flag. So there's a lot of things that you can do as Cazadores, and a lot of blind things that you have to do if you're Purple Rain. And Purple Rain, I mean, you can see how blind they are. They're just pushing up. They have no idea of where their opponents are. They could be walking into a trap, they can be walking to an ambush, or they could be walking into a trade on caps.
Exactly. The T-71 Pollen's actually knocking down a tree as he moves down the 0 line to try and find this enemy team. He's not found anything yet. How close is he getting? He's getting all the way to A0, but his base is under attack?
Yeah, that's right. He's going to be confused, and Fatty Gotti got taken out by armor, so it's been revealed that at least Purple Rain is making a big play. For 35 seconds, 23 seconds, because of the 3-member cap is going to be really quick. How will they respond? Where is Cazadores?
Jonah and Logos are returning to base. Jonah is about maybe 5 seconds out from being able to defend.
Going to be close.
It will
10
be
seconds
close.
on the clock. Can he get the reset? Jonas has to make something happen here.
5 seconds until cap is done, and we still don't see anything. Jonah's going to poke out, and can he get any shots? Still 100%.
No,
Blue base is captured.
Blue base has been
captured.
captured.
Oh my God, Cazadores really fumbled the ball on this game. They had a 9-point advantage in it, and they just did not pull the trigger. On top of that, when they pushed out, they weren't putting any positional spotters up far enough to check for a potential fast cap by their opponents. Really, really fumbling the play on that.
I want to know how Purple knew that they were moving up. I mean, they predicted how Cazadores was moving up, and then they cap-fasted right at the right time. That was really well played by Purple Rain. A good comeback.
I almost feel like they couldn't have known. It was just, they went. They had no spotters.
Yeah. Right?
Their T1 was lodged all the way into the city. Their T1 was actually over by the cap, right?
Yeah.
And then the rest of their team was just bulling it down into the cap. They went a really weird run, like through the city, just went up there. There was a little bit of pause, but for the most part, they went up there and just didn't care.
Killed the T1, jumped on cap,
Yeah.
game over. I mean, they just hoped, and it paid off. I mean, a little luck is sometimes all you need.
Yes, sir.
Well, if the T1 was positioned up a little bit more, maybe things would have been different. But we can talk about that a little bit after we take a quick break and get ready for battle number 4. You're watching WGLNA. Purple Rain's not out of it yet. We'll see what they can do right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to WGLNA Round of 16 qualifiers. We're in the final match of the day. Cazadores versus Purple Rain. Looked like Cazadores was going to take map number 3 on Ruinberg with a 9-point tier advantage. But all of a sudden, Purple Rain did a Hail Mary play to the west and through the city was able to get a capture when Cazadores was not prepared.
That's right. I mean, Cazadores really fumbled. They should have had positions where they could spot that coming. I mean, it's very, very simple to play out that game and get the win from there. But they didn't. And the one opening that they left open, we had a bold move. And let's be honest, from Purple Rain, they have to make a bold move from there. They're behind in time. They're behind in tier points. So they went for the cap, and it paid off. So congratulations for that. It was very bold. It paid off. And now they're still in the qualifiers.
Oh, yeah.
And now we head into another city map, 3 in a row, because the first one, or sorry, we had Engsk, and then we had Ruinberg. Now we head over to Himmelsdorf. And Ruki will be preparing the telestrator up so that he can talk about it in just a second. But what do you think about this? Another city map, Andre?
Yeah, really interesting. But we've seen how Cazadores really like city maps, right? Like they're choosing city map lineups. Maybe they have some sort of love for the IS-3s over something like a T-69. Because honestly, we haven't seen any.
Cazadores was up 2-0, so they actually haven't been picking city maps. It was Purple Rain that was choosing the city maps.
That's true, but oh yeah. Then I don't know.
So Cazadores
they still like
has a
IS-3s,
specific
man.
strategy for the potential match.
But even like, let's say on Engsk, they chose to go into the city instead of going somewhere like the eastern side where there is a lot of open space. But go ahead, take it away, Rukil.
Yeah, so I'm throwing out a few positions that I think are the favorites for most teams. This is the vanilla set of Himmelsdorf. Taking up a position here in G7 is usually some kind of heavy tank. An IS-3 is really common, and a very good IS-3 player will play this corner exceptionally. Nothing's going to pen that. And only one tank is really needed to cover that.
How long is the distance between the tank alley when you're attacking each other? Do we know that?
I'd say I think it's about 300 from
300?
there to there.
So there's going to be some reduced pen coming out of those.
A little bit, but it's really not a huge factor at that point. The gold rounds have such a high pen.
Okay.
If you hit the right spot, you hit the right spot.
Okay.
And most of the weak points in an IS-3, like on the top of the hatch, you know, the lower glacial plate, those are usually, the lower glacial plate is covered all the time, but the top hatch, I mean, that's about the only spot you're going to pen.
Okay.
Now, I love me some vanilla Rukil, but I also love me some chocolate. So talk to me about the castle, the tracks. What kind of other stuff can we see on Himmelsdorf?
All right. Well, it's not uncommon to actually see a team book it up to the top of the hill and using a little bit of T1 bait, taking that T1 tank, throwing it up here at this castle, and you know, on either side trying to bait the other T1 or bait the enemy into fighting, and then bringing up, you know, a few mediums here, or a few maybe even heavies, and you see this kind of escalation happen sometimes. I've seen that before, where teams try and take out that T1 that's so important, and then what happens is they realize, you know, what happens if they bring a T69 to the hill? Well, I'll just bring a 5100. And, well, what if they bring a 5100 to our T69? Well, I'm going to bring another T69, or they bring an IS-3, and sometimes it begins to escalate like that, which can get really absurd.
It's a gang fight. You bring one big brother, and the big brother brings a bigger brother. And all of a sudden, you have madness over on the hill. But what over about the tracks? How does that strategy kind of pan out as well?
Yeah, well, on the track side of the map, sometimes I've seen tanks book it all the way up the one line like that. I've done that in a T1 before, and if a T1 can do that, that could be an interesting distraction to follow up with a push down the tracks and maybe down this 3-line road. Those kinds of pushes can happen, but from the north, it's not uncommon to set up a few tanks in the window, the train station, and then maybe over in B3, and then have someone watch the back across the V4 line. But like I've said before, guys, and you guys have heard me on this one, you can actually hide a T1 in the train station and look
up the steps
to the east. Yeah, right up those steps there. He can climb them, so can a T-52. A lot of other small lights can. And that's a great way to not have to waste one of your Tier 8s looking that direction when you could be looking south, which is more likely an approach that your enemy would take.
All right,
Really
so
cool.
thank you so much, Rukio, for that map analysis before the match. Let's talk a little bit about the tank selection. Andre, what do we see?
All right, well, coming out from Cazadores, we got an IS-3, an AMX 5100, actually 3 AMX 5100s. Makes a lot of sense. And then another IS-3, followed up with 2 T1s. On the other side, Purple Rain is sporting the medium one still. And we got an IS-3, IS-6.
Yeah, that's a good
And 2
tank.
AMX 5100s, followed by T1. Oh, also a T69, excuse me. So talk to me a little bit about the IS-6 and how what's its role coming into this?
It's going to be very similar to an IS-3. An IS-6 and an IS-3 both sport 122mm cannons. The fire rate's a little bit different, and I'm not gonna throw out numbers because I'm not exactly sure on the IS-6's fire rate, but it's a very effective gun. Decent pen, and I don't think it's as good as the IS-3's BL9, but you've still got a 122. You've still got some great sloped armor, but you don't have that pike nose, and I really think that's a disadvantage for an IS-6 player.
All right, well, we'll see if that pike nose comes into play. All right, guys, it's battle number 4. Based off what you see, do you like this IS-6 going in for Purple Rain? Do you think they have what it takes to even out this series?
They could do it. I mean, an IS-6 is an interesting tank, and you can play corners pretty well with it. And if he can do what he needs to do, and Purple can pull out another Hail Mary kind of strange off-the-wall kind of thing that we weren't expecting, they could do it. And Cazadores might be on the back foot at this point. That losing that last match, that would have confused the heck out of me.
Yes, absolutely. At the same time, Cazadores probably is looking at that and saying, okay, guys, silly mistake, not going to happen this time. Let's play very comprehensive coming around. So we might see them playing a little bit more passive. We'll see if Purple Rain takes advantage of this momentum as we move over to Himmelsdorf. We're just going to ready everything up, and then we are going to get going on our 4th match, as you said.
Yeah,
that's right. I do want to encourage you guys once more that at the very end of this series, or this match rather, we're going to be giving away gold once more. So keep your eyes peeled and keep being active on the social media websites at WGLNA, as well as Facebook.com/WGLNA. And if you like the stream, by clicking the follow button, you'll be able to keep track of all of our broadcasts, including tomorrow night, where we'll be broadcasting the round of 8. That being said, the map's been loaded, and let's get into Himmelsdorf for battle number 4. All right, battle number 4 on Himmelsdorf. Let's get ready into the game. What do we see the opening movements here, Rukio?
I'm seeing a west movement from the southern group. Someone's going to have to remind me which team that is right quick.
That is Cazadores.
Cazadores in the south moving to the west. Well, we've got a weird split here. We're actually going to have the Purple Rain is splitting their forces. They're sending a lot up to that hill. Maybe that hill escalation we were talking about earlier. Going to see that coming up to the hill. 3 tanks up to the hill and 3 tanks out to the west side. That's really interesting. Well, we have 5 of the heavies from Cazadores here.
Cazadores is not covering that tank alley, but they are spotting the medium 1 played by 30K. Not able to get a clean shot on them, maybe? Same AMX 5100. It's going to be hard for him as he doesn't have the most accurate gun.
Shots fired across. No real damage being dealt yet. Logo's trying to be a big hero as he has been all match long. Meanwhile, just like you said, the Cazadores is sticking together, really fortifying along that G line. But let's take a look at what's going on. Kufo trying to get a nice view on the 1 line and see if he can get a nice angle. He spots 2 other people, Hangover Special and 30K, breaking down the fence because he means business. And he says, you know what, M1, you're going to sit out.
Hey, this is kind of cute with the 2 T1s all the way on the eastern side. It's just like what you were talking about before. It's like, hey, okay, I'm going to bring my brother in, but my brother this time is another T1. And Wandorf took a lot of damage. Can Fatty Gaddy take him out?
There he goes. Let's gun 0.
Oh, and he sees the AMX 5100 and T69. That is a big Q. Now all the heavy tanks should just book it over to that C3. And this is not going to look good. Cazadores playing it really accurate right now, spotting out the incredibly important tanks, and now going to collapse into their opponent's side.
Meanwhile, Scout 1 backing off, trying to see if he can set up a corner shot and peek while being able to retreat. Logos and CES trying to round the corner, see if they get a shot. Scout has to dodge here. He has to get some good ricochets off, but he's not getting them. He's taking lots of damage. Scout 1 trying to make a book for it. Logos is hot on the tail. Meanwhile, Pollens and Algism also bringing up the rear. Big shot here from Scout 1. Where is the reinforcement shots coming from? It seems like Armor and Hangover Speed trying to hold their own. Scout does drop, and Cazadores making a big power play onto Purple Rain's base.
That's right, and look at this. CES is now charging up the front. Logos was the one charging up, and they're switching out, making sure the damage distribution is correctly applied all over the team. Really well done. They have a very big advantage, especially a positional advantage, which is so important coming into their opponent's side.
Yeah, Armor's doing a very good job at reverse angling his IS-3, backing off and resetting to reverse angle again. In the meantime, we're going to see Cap begin, and Kufo's going to try and return to base as Armor is going to start getting focused, but he takes down Logos.
It doesn't really look good right now for Purple Rain, a simultaneous cap, but Red base is currently being capped much faster than Blue base. Armor trying to have a duel with CES. It's a 122mm fight. Both players trying to circle around each other. Armor hanging in with dear life, realizing that he can be in position to also reset the cap. Meanwhile, we do see a lot of things transpire in each other's bases.
Armor is actually 2v1ing this. There was a big miss by CES, not actually hitting him, instead hitting the floor, and boom, down he goes. Really unfortunate, but brilliantly played by Armor. There is a cap.
He needs to get the reset.
From both teams.
Pollens is waiting for him around the corner. Armor, is he ready for it? He is, but he's just trying to shot. He misses the first one. No, he gets it.
It was a track shot. So Pollens is getting his cap reset, and Armor stacking up again to do some nice reverse angling. He clearly knows how to play his IS-3, and he's going to keep readjusting and reverse angling to try and preserve himself, except now he just pops straight up and then actually gets a bounce because Pollens isn't paying enough attention. That Armor is 200mm plus. Actually, at that angle, it doesn't even matter.
Both flags are having caps reset time and time again. Armor still needs to make play happen. Fatty Gaddy being a huge point of point collection right now. If he can get the shot off, be good. Pollens trying to take the damage to make sure Armor can't get it. Armor gets the sweep around, but Fatty Gaddy does switch it over, but no, he doesn't. A big shot and reset for Purple Rain. Massive plays from Armor this game.
Really brilliant play. I mean, he held his shot, did not kill Pollens, so he could use his cover, and instead went for the T1.
Armor gets the shot. 7 down. Purple Rain ties up the series 2-2, and we have ourselves a battle number 5.
MVP going to Armor, taking out 4 tanks. Of course, one of those are a T1, but man, did he just outplay Cazadores in a position where Armor should have been shattered with the initial 2 IS-3s.
Let's go to the damage
He was able to double tag them. Oh my God, Armor, 3,100 hit points, demolished. Incredible play.
Carrying so hard, Armor. I mean, man, you do know how to play your tank, Armor. I've got to say that. That guy knows how to play an IS-3. That reverse angling, perfect. Textbook. I mean, you should have seen it. I mean, I wish...
We did see it.
We did see it.
Oh, you
we
did?
all
we were all there.
Oh,
yeah.
I was right in close. I was like, I gotta get this. I was right behind Armor the whole time. I had to see that. That was really good play.
Yeah.
Perfect play out of an IS-3.
I do have to give props to also Steel Horse and Severance. They're also putting pressure on the opposite base. It wasn't just, it was a team effort as well, because constantly forcing Cazadores to also split their army. But in this case, just like you were saying, in this scenario, Cazadores did not have strength in numbers. They have to account for this IS-3 from Purple Rain.
Man,
Armor, fantastic job.
They had 2 Tier 8 tanks up on that hill when the push started, and they were still able to hold them off and take everybody out. Unbelievable, unreal play. When we come back, guys, we have to go over that replay. We have to go over that.
So we'll try to load up the replay. Maybe we can get some explanation from Ruka as well. This is WGLNA round of 16. We thought Cazadores was going to be able to take it 3-0, but looks like it's tied up 2-2. Let's find out what happens right after this commercial break. Welcome back, everybody, to WGLNA, where we are in the middle of a match between Cazadores and Purple Rain. It's battle number 5. Because it was up 2-0 for Cazadores, but Purple Rain's able to tie it back after behind the back of Armor's fantastic IS-3 play on Himmelsdorf. And now Rukiel's going to break down what we just saw.
All right, so what we saw was this huge hill movement from Purple Rain, and because Cazadores dedicated all 5 of their tier 8 tanks right up the 3 line and right up the 1 line, they didn't have anybody ready to go back to base. So what happens is we just had a cap fast. We just had 2 tanks jump over to cap, and those tanks had to come all the way back. I mean, they had to go all the way back to base, and those tanks were ready and waiting. So the pressure was on. Those tanks had to be out of a fight for a long period of time, which gave Armor on the other side of the map over in... What was that? It was D6, time to carry, time to deal with the enemy tanks, time to take down one, and then solo the other, and then return to base.
Armor's like 3v1, no problem, guys.
Yeah.
It's okay. You guys go ahead. You guys cap. It's all good. I got this.
He got, what was it? Kill here, then another kill, then another kill, then another kill. Those were all 4 of his kills right
So
there.
sick.
There were 2, and then another 2. I mean, that was really good.
Do have to say, Pollens did have an opportunity to get the shot, but was not able to finish off. So it was a combination of things. But again, Armor able to provide 3,000 damage and then some. Yeah. Really well played. And I am really looking forward to our next map. Has it already been picked yet?
There's a little bit of positional play I would have changed slightly in the AMX 5100 at the end. I believe played by Hangover. If he pushed out, he wasn't on cap. There might have been a position where he hugs that the corner, and he gets to play the corner game on the IS-3 instead of committing him to cap, because as soon as he's on cap, he's in that open area, you're almost always going to get hit. So at least, get off cap, because you know it's going to be reset anyway. Go to that corner and play that corner game against the IS-3. At least you can get your shots at 100% of the time instead of getting most of your shots ricocheted or, of course, decreased based on the E armor that he gets from his micro.
Yeah, that was great use of the pike nose. We were talking about it right before the match.
Yeah.
Would the pike nose come and play? Well, yes, yes, it did. So much.
Yes, it did.
Great. I'm still freaking out over here about Armor. I mean, I've circled on here. I've got a list of the players. Circle MVP Armor.
Easily.
If they come back and win this, I mean, they've won 2 in a row now. Cazadores on the back foot. They might be a little shaken right now, a little tired. 4 matches already.
But in the same token, I mean, I think Cazadores played a really, really intelligent match too. I mean, they had the 2 T1s, which is kind of unconventional, but it makes a lot of sense. You will always get scouts, even if they try to do that little fake with the T1 and having 2 tanks or a tank behind there. They're always going to see that, because the 1 T1 against 2 T1s, obviously 2 T1s are going to win. So they get the trigger no matter what, and then their 5 tanks are ready to either push in or pull back according to what they see. So I like their overall game plan going into it. It's just they get outplayed in terms of micro.
Yeah, the outplay right there. You had all 5 tanks go up. No one could return to base. I mean, it was the move. We said that's the move they need to make. They needed to make the move. But it just looks like they were delayed long enough by play of some, Armor. Again, I mean, he delayed the match long enough.
Yeah, I keep saying 3v1, but realistically, it is a 4v1. Even though it's a T1, that T1 is incredibly important with that fast cap.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, that wraps up that game, or that battle, rather. Still waiting on, I guess, a map choice. There's nothing really no
Actually, it looks
here.
like Logos has said Airfield, so we might be seeing Airfield here in just a second.
Okay, so Airfield has been selected. A couple tanks in tank selection already as well.
They will be choosing the western side as well. They just confirmed that.
All right, western side on Airfield. That is...
Okay. Is it really... I feel like Airfield doesn't really have too much of a side advantage, though. That's just from my perspective. Do you have any side preference in Airfield?
I really don't. I don't have any preference. I feel like the map is actually symmetrical in a way that it's you can play either side and play it strong. I mean, you can get away with a lot of...
How about for their play style, though? Because they've been very I would say, urban with their playstyle. Does the western side affect anything of their playstyle?
Well, bringing up their urban playstyle, they'll probably head north. That's what I'm thinking. They'll probably head north towards the grinder. That's generally where heavies go in pub matches, so people start thinking the grinder is where heavies belong. It's where they go. So we're going to see probably something along the lines of, you know, heavies coming on out here, going this way, and then, you know, a lot of heavy tanks generally go north. That's where they stay. That's where their best cover is, and they'll meet at the grinder. I'm not sure how Purple's Rain's gonna play. They've been using that medium one, the British tier 1 tank, and I don't understand the play with it.
Maybe it's to hold down a little bit better.
No,
they haven't been using it like that.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to counter out T1s, but I actually haven't seen that medium one actually fight a T1.
No.
So we actually haven't gotten any T1v medium one play out of this. Set.
It's because it's like the most gigantic target ever, right? Like, as soon as it steps onto the field, it's like, boo, and I kill you. You're dead because you're just such a gigantic piece of meat.
Yeah, it's just a huge target, a huge silhouette, and it's easy for these guys to hit.
Easy peasy, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's talk a little bit about these two first picks, because I really like this. 2 T-32s are going to be picked out for Cazadores.
That's a good pick. T-32s can perform especially well in airfield because they do great in hold down and that gun depression. Now, when you get over to the grinder and you get over to the ruins, both in the middle of the map, those can be great spots. You can the grinder being a fantastic spot to group up, and the ruins to group up there. Those are two of the best spots where we're going to see great T-32 play come into effect. Anywhere else on the map, I'd say the T-32 wasn't being properly utilized, but over the top of the ruins here and here is where the T-32 can do well. Also, we could see great play either side here, and if they take the farther west side, assuming they're attacking from the east, if anyone uses T-32s, attacking from the west, it would be cut off this part of the grinder, approach, and try and take it over. So that kind of play, I mean, if that's where you'd use T-32s, you'd abuse them, bring some T-69s to complement them with their 90 mil, and we could see that. That's definitely how I'd see those T-32s being utilized.
So MX-50s being picked out, unless you want to say something else, Andre.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off all the time.
Okay, just go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, what do you do in response to a T-32? Do you get your own T-32s, or what's the correct response, maybe the counter or hard counter, since they picked them first?
Well, I'm actually not sure about that because the hold down's so strong. You bring your own T-32s maybe if you want to play at their game and think you can play it better. You might bring an artillery piece like an M40-43, maybe a GW Panther wouldn't be too bad. Bison could come out, but against the T-32 there's some bounces that you get when you hit its turret. But coming down so flat, I mean, the Bison would be a decent choice. So an RD play might be what you need to counter some T-32s, but it would be really very strong play out of those T-32s that you would need in order to play them effectively. I mean, T-32s are a great tank, but there could be some ways they could do something about them.
When Clutch gets here, it's the best tank, let me tell you.
It's one of the best tanks in the game. I have to agree with him. It's beautiful.
Tank,
I mean, that turret, you're bouncing everything. There's only one little weak spot on the top. That's it, the commander's hatch. And the best way to actually beat a T-32 in hold down is try and get a little high ground. If you can get a little high ground, you can shoot into that commander's hatch, and it's easier to pen the higher up you are, because the angle. I mean, you have a better angle when you're trying to get into that turret.
Okay.
Do you want to mention that the picks have been slowing down significantly because right now Cazadores is kind of all over the place. They don't know what's going on. Their strategies have kind of been thrown astray just because the past couple games feel like they could have won it, or rather they should have won it, and instead they've lost those battles, and now they apparently, according to our admin, saying that they're really struggling over what to pick, so the suspense is pretty high.
Yeah, these teams are hesitating. They're given all the time in the world to pick, though, so, I mean, we can give them a sense of urgency, but these guys are going to take as long as they possibly can. They're discussing it as much as they can. Like, what do we pick? What do we pick? What do we pick? These guys have beaten us for 2 rounds now.
Yeah.
They've beaten us for 2 rounds, and now they have to come back. I mean, that's rough. I mean, I've come up 2, you go up 2, you're feeling pretty good, then you get shut down. That could be even worse than just losing a match in the first round. I mean, losing in the 3rd round and then again, I'd feel demoralized if I was Cazadores.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think this is something that's really important that I used to do when I played high school soccer and college soccer. Whenever my opponent has a lot of momentum, you slow everything down, and you almost bring it to a pause. And that way you can try to stop their momentum as much as possible. And you let them think about it, and you let us think about it, and it kind of recharges them so that it sets them anew. It's something that's really important. Of course, it's very human,
Yeah.
I guess.
You're playing head games, yeah.
Exactly. But slow it down, realize what we have to do, realize our game plan, and just go on with it. I think that's what Cazadores is doing a little bit to an extent.
All right, so why don't we take a quick break and wait for the picks to kind of finalize before we come back, and that way the game can, or the battle can continue. It's battle number 5 between Cazadores and Purple Rain. Don't go anywhere. This is WGLNA round 16. Welcome back, everybody, to WGLNA round of 16 qualifier number 1, where we're in the middle of picking still for our battle number 5 between Cazadores and Purple Rain. Now, let's go ahead and look at the tank screen and see what's going on right now. And any development, we have a couple tanks picked since our last check-in. We had a medium 1 in the IS-3, and a 1390 and a couple Team 1s.
Yep, that indicates Logos is going to probably do some scouting, and they're going to try and use him as a scout and as a tier 8. There's plenty of damage in that autoloader, so maybe they can do something with that, especially if we see Purple Rain take a lighter setup. If they take something like a lot of 5100s, the 1390 is still really relevant, but if they go heavier with IS-3s, the 1390 might have a little bit of trouble, especially because of that huge reticle, few shots going into that spaced armor, maybe an unlucky shot into some track. 1390, he could do some stuff, although I don't remember. Has Logos actually been in a 1390 this set?
No, I think Logos has played pretty heavy tanks for the most part.
Okay, so actually we won't know how Logos will perform in that 1390. I wonder if Scout 1 will play a 1390 himself and try and see who's the better Scout 1390 driver.
So, in response to those 2 T-32s, we don't have any arties coming out, but we do have room to have some arties coming out. It will be most likely, well, it could be like a Tier 3 arty, but most likely, I don't know. What do you really feel like?
I feel like maybe we could see a Tier 8 arty. I mean, they could throw one of their Tier 8s into an arty, but they could just go and mutually just be like, hey guys, we'll just ignore arty. We'll play this like we've been playing these city maps where it's all the heavies doing all the work. I mean, you know, that could be it. And it does look like we're going to run into no arties.
Okay, yeah, it couldn't have been Tier 3. I didn't even see they chose their two scouts. So, that being said, though,
we've got...
I think one last one depends on...
Yeah, they are. There we go.
Wandorf coming out in a T92. We've got 10 minutes in this match, and that's a T92. He fires very slow, hits very hard. He's going to have to make every single shot count. If he can't do that, he's going to be a liability to his team.
All right, so why don't we show real quick right before the match starts, as all the tanks have been set, where can this T92 Wandorf position himself on airfield?
All right, well, I'm expecting that we'll see the T92 go way up north, way to the south. He wants to get shots into that grinder. He wants shots into the grinder because that's the most likely place we're going to see enemies. Now, from the other side, he would have also done the same thing, trying to get shots into the grinder. Now, I'm just throwing this out here, guys, for you because I don't remember which side he's on. You're going to have to remind me, but he wants shots into the grinder. He's going far north, far south. He's going to need someone to defend him.
He's going to be on the right side.
On the right side?
Yes.
So there we go. He's probably going to go far north, I'm expecting, because that'll be the easiest place to defend him. So we'll see far north, and we'll have to see. He has a great arc on that T92.
I really like how they chose this already last, because if you look at the lineup, 2 T-32s, two AMX 5100s, the T-30 AMX 1390. These are all tanks that are okay all around, but they don't have that blitzing power unless you had something like a T-69 or 2 T-69s really added into it. So 2 T-69s, maybe 3 AMX 5000s, they can really burst up and crash down and take advantage and shorten the battles. You know, you have 10 minutes, but if your battles are only taking, let's say, a minute, well, all of a sudden you don't have a lot of shots in that T-92. So I like how they chose them last, the already last, and really made it a power punch.
Yeah, I'm just hoping he comes into play. If he doesn't, he's a liability, and they're down 8 points. If he misses one shell once a fight starts, could be it.
Yeah.
All right, well, those are things all to consider. This is battle number 5 and the last battle of the night because all the other round of 16 matches have concluded. Cazadores versus Purple Rain. I'm really excited. Keep in mind, guys, that tomorrow is the round of H, and it's single elimination, so this is all that matters. If either team loses, then they have to try next qualifier in 2 weeks. The countdown has begun. We have only 10 seconds left. Let's get into airfield for battle number 5. And welcome to airfield for battle number 5. Immediately, Armor taking out all that waiting time rage onto the buildings, or just making his path cut pretty clear. Airfield, of course, a base where you can kind of take a lot of cover if you're trying to cap the enemy's flag. Now, Ruka, what do we see the opening movements out?
Yep, we're seeing the artillery piece as predicted going north. We're seeing scouts go towards the mid to try and make some scout runs here. And we're seeing a little bit of pinging go out. So this looks to be going as expected, except for the fact that I'm seeing a heavy tank here going right towards the middle. I'm expecting he's going to try and get shots north and try and make sure no one tries to sneak into the backfield. So we're going to see a fight at the grinder, but it's going to be a question of who takes control. I'm going to throw it out to west blue side here. That's going to be Cazadores, right?
The blue team is Cazadores.
Yes.
Yes, Cazadores here if they can push through on the west side, they could really get somewhere. But now it looks like it might just slow down, which could be in favor of that T-92.
Yeah, it gives them a lot of time to scout, initially poke out and see if you can get the shot out, and plenty of time to reload, considering that the teams seem to be spread out pretty wide across the center.
Yep, Logos is in a great position in the middle right now. He's actually sitting in this bush a few meters back. He can actually drop back to the 20 meters behind the bush and take shots. He spots Armor as he tries to get in position. Armor, pretty sure, he probably knows he's spotted. He takes a shot somewhere into nothing and actually moves forward. In the meantime, Logos is going to book it out of there and take the safer route out. Shot comes in. Who was that?
I don't know, but it did miss. It could have been from anybody at this point.
Yeah. Well, CES and Jonah in their current positions in T-32s are actually really exposed to where I think that T-92 could be. A shot could arc right over onto CES or Jonah, and also Kufo out in his T1 is playing, I wouldn't call that very safe. He's just driving out in the open there. He might take a few hits. So on the other, right next to them, we got Pollins, though, is looking to the south, panning around, waiting for tanks to show up. But Armor in his IS-3, it has been spotted. So he's going to back down. There's no arty for Cazadores to work with. So they're not going to be able to make him pay for getting spotted like that.
Yeah, everything that's done by Cazadores has to be paced because they have to keep in mind that every time they poke out for an exchange, potentially the T-92 Wandorf could rain down a shell directly on top of their tank. Has to play very cautious, but at the same time, they're buying themselves up. They're all right on the bottom of the hill, and they're giving a lot of time for Purple Rain to get a nice setup.
Yep. In the meantime, we see Logos starting to move up, make little scout runs, but Purple Rain really needs to be scouting right now. They really need to get spots so that they can get hits and then set the pace. Logos is being a little aggressive here. He's going to actually, Armor's actually going to go and get spotted again. Steel Horse actually getting spotted. And then, and Logos is going to come around for another run. I guess he hasn't been spotted yet.
Yeah, just really stagnant position. Now, time is another resource. Oh, wait, Jonah is going to be spotted out here. He's going directly up. Armor is right above that hill. Armor takes a little bit damage.
This time?
And then on the other side, Logos takes out Severinster with the T1, and Logos is going to go run now into the backfield, and we might see the T92 go down. Armor goes down,
Armor does go down, and that's going to be really tough for Purple Rain to recover. Another one dead. Severinster does manage to drop. A lot of hit points has been lost, and it looks like Hangover Special will be able to take out Algism. Not before Algism was able to destroy Armor, though, and that was a really nice exchange here for Cazadores. But still, they did lose a lot of HP in response. Jonah 2 is down to his last 200 hit points. Hangover Special will try to come around and try to see if he can support his teammates for the northern push.
Yep. In the meantime, has Wandorf actually landed a shell? Have any of you seen any of those explosions?
I don't think he has.
Well, that might not work out for them because Logos is getting into the backfield, and Kufo is also on the move. He's going to be trying to make his way into the enemy base where he can see if he can do anything. At this point, I'm giving it to Cazadores. I think they could take it.
Yeah, that initial exchange was huge. Pollen's getting spotted. Has to be kind of careful. There's 2 members of Purple Rain waiting in both sides. And of course, CES also making an appearance. Hangover getting really low down his last 200 as well. Pollen's with the cleanup crew. And now Steel Horse and Palms are going to exchange 50 AMX 50-100 blows. CES potentially could clean it up. And a big 1-2 combo puts Steel Horse down to his last 18 hit points.
And Logos has actually come up behind. He can actually get a good shot on Wandorf, but Scout 1 is going to go receive him. There's a gigantic fight. Logos is on top of Waldorf. He's going to come crashing down and trying to take out Waldorf right now, but he is being surrounded. It's really, really tough, but Cazadores...
He does manage to juke. Cazadores trying to close it out if they can. They still have 6 members alive. Logos gets the shot on Warndorf. There's no more artillery, down to just 1 AMX 1390 Scout 1. What can he really do? The time has already been initiated for the capture. And Scout 1 calculating everything. 1 versus 6. This is going to be a bigger miracle than what Armor pulled off on Himmelsdorf.
I believe, Scout. Come on, you can do it. He's in that AMX 1390. You know, it's really tough. I mean, of course, AMX 1390s are really, really powerful, but they're not good at long engagements because they clip for so long.
Well, that's a start. He takes out the T1. There's also another T1 getting capture points. Needs to get a reset on Jonah 2. Logos trying to see he does. He whiffs. Scout 1 playing Jukes of Hazard, trying to make sure he can keep his tournament lives alive. But Logos getting the nice shot. Scout keeping the dream up. It's not meant to be. Well played by Cazadores as they take battle number 5 and punch their ticket for the round of 8 tomorrow night.
Beautifully done, stopping the momentum of Purple Rain and really taking it to them. Man, that last fight was spectacular. I have to say, they nullified that T91 so well.
T92. There you go.
Excuse me.
That was all over the place. I was having trouble keeping up. We had the 1390 in the backfield, created all sorts of chaos.
Yes.
That's what happens when you lose a T1 like that and you don't adjust. Didn't properly adjust. T92 rendered ineffective by the fact that
2 shots from the T92, 1 hit, and it did 500 damage.
That's it. That is a waste of 8 points.
Yes.
A huge waste.
Yes,
They probably could have gone with something much better, something much lower tier, and then probably up-tiered something, gotten a bigger scout.
Yeah, I really like how Cazadores did that whole burst attack and then stopped completely, went dark.
Yeah.
And then burst attack and then went and then it was over.
Yeah. Well, at that point, they caught out that, what was it, an IS-3 armor?
Yes.
They caught him out. He didn't stand a chance, and his team could not get into a position to defend him.
And I was looking at Purple Rain's side. Purple Rain didn't even see that coming, by the way, until it was way too late. I mean, he didn't see the first indicator was Jonah coming up there. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, let's go kill this tank. All of a sudden, my flank, my behind is being blown up because I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that Purple Rain didn't know they were there. I mean, they could have done a little more scouting, could have figured out where their enemy was, and tried to adjust to it.
Yeah. There was the one T1 just hugging all the way. I think it was the T1 or the medium. Now I can't remember, but a scout was hugging all the way near the shipyard area. You know, the water area?
Yeah.
It's not the best place to be plugging a T1 in my opinion. Like, that's
he probably could have been a little further back, spotting the top of the hill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then seeing everything across rather than just this one direct lane that, let's be honest, doesn't really get used all that much.
Yeah, it really doesn't. The water side only used rarely in the events of some kind of off-the-wall kind of pushes where you know the enemy isn't covering it. And he probably could have, even then, if they'd pushed the water, been further back and actually maybe got away. The position he was in, no escape. So when the 1390 came rolling in, he went down.
All right, well, that wraps up the last match of the night. Battle number 5 goes in favor of Cazadores after quite a scare, honestly, because Purple Rain brought it back to tie up the series 2-2. Remember, it was single elimination, so everything was laid out on airfield. But in the end, Cazadores will advance to tomorrow, which is 6 p.m. Pacific, where they play for a chance to be in WGLNA. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to do code giveaways for the last beats of gold. Rotterdam will be on the set to do that as well. Thank you so much for observing as well tonight. And when we come back, we'll have closing thoughts as well as post-game analysis when we return. Welcome back, everybody. It's WGLNA. We're wrapping up the day with a couple of gold giveaways, gold code giveaways, that is. And Rotterdam is here to bring it to you. And he selected a couple of tweets, or maybe one lucky winner. Kev, why don't you read some off the social media interaction we've been getting all night?
Thank you very much, Dan. It's been a long night, but it's been a really fun night. Saw a couple of sick plays, and of course the Twitter universe is talking about armor as well, because hey, if I have to say there was one highlight of the night, it had to be that IS-3 control. Even Rookhill couldn't really hold his temper anymore. He was getting really excited, so let's hop over to my screen real quick, and I will I'll show you guys a couple of the tweets. But the tweet that I say that deserves a little bit of free gold, and what's better than free gold, is the tweet by Kevin. No bias, guys, promise. Just because my name is Kevin, and he said armor, one-man army. Well, I couldn't really describe it any better. That was some sick play, very well done. So Kevin, I'm gonna contact you later tonight, and I hope you enjoyed that free gold. Do something cool with it. Pimp up your IS-3, and perhaps one day you'll control it just as well as armor did. Yeah.
I hope that's what we all strive for. Thank you very much, Kevin, and great job controlling the cameras, our dedicated observers. Guys, do you have any closing thoughts? What was your favorite match of the night?
Definitely the one with armor.
Yes,
I was losing myself after that. That was the best IS-3 play I have seen to date.
That was so clutch, too, because I think Cazadores was super far ahead in that positionally, and then armor just, he did the unthinkable, right? Like, this is a position in Cazadores where it's like, okay, well, let's send just enough to outnumber you guys, and we're going to defend cap. And Armor's like, no.
Well, that definitely was my favorite match as well. Keep in mind, guys, that tomorrow night we'll be broadcasting 6 p.m. Pacific. The round of 8 matches will be continuing, and whoever wins that round will be advancing to the WGLNA League as a whole. But that's only our first qualifier in 2 weeks. We also have another qualifier for the last half of the open tournament qualifiers. So if you are a team and you're interested in entering, make sure to sign up. Go to WGLNA.com. We're done here from the Rancho Cucamonga studios in California. From Frodan, Rotterdam, Greetorp, and Rookhill. Have a good night, and see you guys on the battlefield tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific.